Before cast iron, before ductile iron, before modern plastics, there was wood. Actual hollowed logs, shaped, connected, and buried underground to move water through early cities. To most people today, that sounds temporary, even fragile. But in the early days of infrastructure, it wasn't about perfection. It was about survival. Cities needed water systems, and they needed them fast. Wood was available, easy to work with, and already understood as a building material. So engineers and early builders did what they could with what they had. They hollowed logs, lined them up, and created the first underground water networks. And surprisingly, it worked. In low-pressure systems and stable ground conditions, wood pipe could perform far better than most people expect today. Because underground, wood doesn't behave the same way it does in open air. When wood stays fully saturated and oxygen is limited, decay slows dramatically. That's one of the reasons some wood pipe lasted far longer than expected. In certain conditions, decades, sometimes even longer. And pieces of it are still being uncovered during excavation work today. Not common, but absolutely real. But wood pipe had limits, and those limits became more obvious as cities grew. Pressure increased, systems expanded, and demand slowly pushed wood beyond what it was ever designed to handle. Because wood doesn't fail suddenly in most cases, it changes over time. It swells, it shifts, it weakens at joints, and it becomes less reliable under higher pressure. Installation also played a major role. These early systems depended heavily on soil conditions, joint sealing, and precise alignment. A small ground shift or a poorly sealed joint could create long-term issues underground. And unlike modern systems, there was no standard design across regions. Everything was hand-built, local, and inconsistent. Eventually, as cities expanded and pressure demands increased, the system began pushing wood beyond its practical limits. Not because it suddenly stopped working, but because the demand outgrew the material. That's when cast iron entered the picture. But here's what's fascinating. Wood pipe never fully disappeared. Even today, during excavation and utility work, sections of original wooden mains are still uncovered. Buried time capsules, quietly preserved underground for generations. Still holding shape, still telling the story of how it all began. And that's the part most people never think about. The first water systems weren't perfect. They were experimental, built with limited materials, limited knowledge, and an expanding need that never stopped growing. But without them, none of the modern systems we rely on today would exist. Every pipe underground today starts here with wood. And from here, everything changes. Because once cities outgrew wood, they needed something stronger, heavier, and far more permanent: cast iron. And that's where we go next, under pressure, underground.